Dirty Dick Slater, obviously another one of these guys. Again, we talk about breaking the mold. You're not going to see any more coming like Dick Slater coming down the pike at all. So if you can, share some memories about the Rebel if you can, and we'll go into some of the matches you guys had afterwards.
Well, sort of just to start, another sad passing, right? I mean, 67, I think is way too young today. Right? 67 maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago might have been old. Today, 67 is like the new 50. So sad to hear that. I'd heard, I've not been able to get confirmation, but I'd heard that he was in a nursing home after a car accident a few years ago. I hadn't seen Dick around, and I hadn't heard anything about him until his passing. As a young guy coming into the dressing room in UWF, Dick was one of the elder statesmen, if you will, in the dressing room. He was one of the established guys, tough as nails, very intimidating, not because of the way he carried himself or the way he portrayed himself. Intimidating because, his reputation preceded him. And, I always got along very well with Dick. Anytime I worked with him, like Dominic taught me, was all ears, listened and followed. Dick was always a solid performer. If you put Dick Slater in the ring versus fill in the blank, it was going to be a solid match that you could put on the card and hold the card together. He was a no bullshit type of guy. He wasn't the kind of guy to sit there and get into the dressing room, bitch sessions. Dick was very quiet. He would sort of sit off on his own in the corner and take care of business and do what he had to do and, get ready for his matches. Was not a social butterfly at all. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean like he was, like standoffish or nose in the air, nothing like that. Just, it was all business. He'd get in there, open his light a cigarette and open his bag and get dressed and get ready to go to the ring. A man of very few words. But I learned an awful lot from working with Dick Slater, and was saddened to hear of his passing. Unfortunately, as we get up, after, so many decades in this business, for those guys that were, 10, 15, 20 years older than me, we've seen so many of them passing lately, and it's just a sad reminder that, mortality gets all of us. And, like I said to somebody that a friend of mine tweeted me or texted me, I should say, early that morning about his passing. That's how I learned of Dick's passing. And I said, sad, just another one gone. It's like you said a second ago, there will never be another Dirty Dick Slater, whether gimmick or shoot. There will never be another guy like that in the business.
I remember seeing him for the first time in the WWF and his very, very short-lived WWF tenure where he was the babyface Rebel Dick Slater, which, as you go on and you become a more seasoned fan, you get to see that, that was not Dirty Dick Slater. The Rebel Dick Slater was, this different form of the Dick Slater persona, I guess, that the WWF wanted to spin on it. But when you go through what he did in his career, and he was in Championship Wrestling from Florida, and he was in Georgia, and he was in Mid-Atlantic, and he was in WCW, and he was in Mid-South, and he was in the AWA, and he was in the WWF. That's the definition of a journeyman. But I was going to ask you, who did he kind of hang around with? And you're saying he was an isolationist somewhat. Is that why he was able to hop from territory to territory, do you think? He really didn't have any firm ties or any maybe play into some of these politics that went on in some of these organizations?
Well, I don't mean to imply he didn't have friends. He was real close with, like DiBiase and Dusty and like that group of guys. But he definitely, at least from my purview, I never saw him embarking on the political bullshit. It was Dickie always sort of seemed an island unto himself, Switzerland, and that's like you said, the definition of a journeyman. But in our business, what that means is that that's a guy that's talented enough to go from this place to this place to that place to that place because he can transcend, the textual differences of, say, an NWA to a WCW to a WWF to an ECW. He was the type of guy that could very seamlessly, hop around from place to place and fit right into the texture of whatever that company was. Just another testament to his ability to sort of morph into that. It's a rare guy in the business that can do that. If you think of most guys, most wrestlers, when they go to company A, company B, company C, pretty much the same guy, same character, maybe some minor differences added in, unless you're like a star in NXT and going to the WWE today and they turn you completely black and white, negative image of whatever, or something completely from left field. But, Dick Slater was able to very seamlessly step in out of one promotion and into the next and somehow seem fresh when he got there. It's a rare quality.
Yeah, no, very cool. And you love that about those territory days is when he would pop up in another territory, and that's always I love that. I love the debut in the new territory of any guy. It's always the most exciting, more memorable appearances. But got to welcome in JP now, and JP went to work down in the crack JP lab, broke out the history books, combed through the results, and came up with some matches that you did have against Dirty Dick Slater. So JP, why don't you run down some of these illustrious matches that the franchise had throughout his career with the dirty one, the Rebel Dick Slater?
I did find some matches in WCW, but I'm just curious before I get into them. Shane, did you ever wrestle him in the UWF? Because obviously you guys were in the same locker room at the same time. Was there ever any point you guys crossed paths in the ring?
My guess is yeah, because of the 7-night-a-week type of schedule that we ran back then. But I don't believe I had any kind of angle with him there. If so, it was probably a TV taping or a dark match, a house show match. But no angle or anything with him there. But there were, I've probably told the story here before. In the UWF, that stuck with me all these years indelibly. Pez Wally had been working with this younger kid that was working, his name shall remain nameless. And, Bill Watts, I've often talked about his imposing coaching style, the yelling and screaming and intimidation. But it was all targeted. It wasn't just yelling and screaming. It was getting in your face to try to get you to undo the things that you were screwing up out there. And this young wrestler who was about my age, maybe a very little bit older, had been there for a while before I got there, maybe 6 months before I got there. And I had noticed Bill, getting on him after his match. He was working with Pez Whatley, getting on him after his matches because of some things that he was doing incorrectly in the ring. And on the third or fourth night, I can't remember exactly, it was after a couple nights, the kid had gone to the ring and Pez was at the curtain ready to go through. And Bill sort of looks around the dressing room and he taps Pez on the leg and he says, because Pez is up on the riser, he said, Pez, take the night off. And he looks around and he sees Dickie. And he calls Dick Slater over and he said, I want to go out there and teach this kid a lesson. And if he comes back with teeth in his face, you're fired. And Dick went out there and did what what his boss told him to do. Which to a young kid like me in the dressing room, greener than goose shit, was very intimidating. But it also forced me to stay laser focused on my craft. Because of that. I mean, those were, things that you see as a young guy that, leave a mark. If that's what happens when you screw up, well then damn, I'm not going to screw up. I'm going to try not to. But Dick, and I don't mean that in any way to kind of besmirch Dick. Dick was completely a professional. And, as independent contractors, a guy like Dick in that position has a choice. He can go out there and do what his boss tells him to do, or come back and maybe be fired, or certainly be in a lesser position because he didn't fulfill the promoter, the booker's wishes. And so he did what he had to do to keep food on his family's table. And, I'm not saying that it's right, not advocating it. But, and like I said, certainly not trying to besmirch Dick for that. But, Dick was ever the professional. And from my witnessing him and his career, what my career mirrored his, I never saw Dick lazy. I never saw Dick take the shortest path, the shortest route. Dick always went out there and gave everything he had, which, was pretty damn believable in the ring.